All right, let's talk about advertising for a minute. Now, advertising, when people think of advertising, they just think about the advertising that they see and not giving full thought to the process of what goes on behind the scenes. Now, if your company has any chance of surviving, and when you start a company, the chances of survival is actually small to begin with. You're not helping your odds if you're not advertising. Matter of fact, if you're not advertising, you're basically guaranteeing your failure. Now, some of you have not been advertising, but it's not too late to start. Companies that don't advertise quite simply go out of business. The number one reason they don't advertise, they're not convinced that it's going to work. That leaves you with two choices. You either make it work or you keep making excuses. But you cannot choose not to advertise. So if you're not advertising, you might as well just get out of the game. Make room for the people who are, because you're just wasting time, I'm telling you. I know it's hard. But advertising is, let me tell you about some of the things that advertising does. One thing is advertising creates what we call barrier to entry. Companies that advertise keep the other companies out. If you're in an industry that's competitive or really just getting started, and you got a lot of competition out there trying to decide whether they're going to jump in or not, you will make it difficult for competitors by spending heavily on advertising. This is called the market power theory of advertising. Matter of fact, if you're advertising the right way, people will be afraid to try the other company because your company, your brand is so strong and your product looks so superior. It almost looks like a different product. And they'll be afraid to try the other product versus yours. So advertising creates a barrier to entry. And it makes people afraid to try something different or substitute. Advertising also creates this thing called goodwill. It's like it's part of the assets of your company. It's an asset that builds intangible value called goodwill or brand equity. Advertising does that. It's also a defensive weapon against competitors. Back in 1991, McDonald's, it was public because a lot of this information is public because they're a public corporation. They cut their advertising budget significantly. This is back in 1990, 1991. And you wonder why companies are always advertising. It's like, who doesn't know what McDonald's is? Why do they need to advertise? When they stopped advertising, or they cut their advertising during that period, Pizza Hut sales increased by 61%. Taco Bell grew by 40%. And McDonald's saw a sales decrease of 28% just by cutting their advertising budget. So advertising is not only offensive, it's also a defensive weapon. Also, advertising in this digital age is actually become a product. A lot of the advertising, a lot of the business models right now is built on selling advertising, either indirectly or directly. Many of the companies like Google or Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, their business model is based upon selling advertising. And they get that advertising by giving away free services. Facebook gives you a nice page, profile. YouTube lets you upload this videos to its platform. Twitter gives you a nice little page. You can tweet and carry on. LinkedIn, all of them. But what they're actually selling on the other end is advertising. They might sell you a membership every now and then, but what they're actually, their main product, one of their main revenue generators is advertising. That tells you the power of advertising. Another thing about advertising is more often than not, it just plain doesn't work. Some of the main reasons are your ads are just too general. You can't sell everything to everybody. When you try to sell everybody, you sell nobody. You're not pushing the right hot buttons. The main hot buttons for advertising, either make money or save, or make money or save money, some type of physical need, comfort, convenience, pleasure, security, and social proof. You got to get one of those emotional hot buttons in the ad, or it's probably not going to work. Another reason advertising isn't working because you're not focused on the sales process. You run a good ad, people call in, and you're not closing. You don't understand the objections, the benefit selling, or how to close. So sometimes it's not the ad itself. Sometimes it's what happens after the ad has run. And of course, one of the most fatal mistakes is to spend all your money on getting the customers, but not keeping those customers. You're not getting the lifetime value. So you must advertise at all times, even when times are good and when times are bad. And also you must pay for advertising. People hate to hear this. Like, can I go out here and get some free advertising? Can I go out here and do organic? Can I sit here and post 50 different times on Facebook? Upload my nice videos on TikTok? Yes, you can. But unless you're going to be doing that 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, you're not going to do enough of it to sustain your business. And the other problem usually is because when you're doing that organic advertising, it's only going to people you already know. They probably already bought from you. They did their complimentary purchase when you first started out. Grandma, little man, and cousin Sue, and the pastor, and your sorority sister, they already bought from you. They may buy some more, but you got to sell some strangers. You got to get those strangers in the door. You got to get some names of people that you can't pronounce. And the only way to do that is through spending some money on advertising. I remember my first time I started advertising. I sent out a direct mail piece over in the Maryland area. I got a call from this bakery over in Iverson Mall called Iverson's, what's called Tiffany's Bakery. And the owner called me and said, I got your piece in the mail. Because before that, like everybody else who was just starting out, I was selling to people that I knew. Family, friends, neighbors, church members. Either this is Mr. Mahia. Like, what the heck? I thought that was Magia. But he was a Latino. His wife and 3 daughters had this bakery over in Iverson Mall. They became a client of mine because I advertised. I would not have gotten them otherwise. I had to spend some money. I had to design me a nice piece, put it in the mail. I said, this advertising things, that's something to think about. Let's see. And don't get hung up on the free stuff, because I already told you about what free means. If the service is free, including advertising, the product is you. Now let's talk about some of these quickly. We're going to talk about some of the best kept secrets in advertising. I'm going to run down the list quickly here before we get out of here. You can outperform, you can outmaneuver a much better finance company by being smart in your advertising. Doesn't matter how big they are, how much better their product may be. If you are smarter than at advertising, you can still win. You have a weapon. You just have to know how to use it. Here's another secret. You should alternate between advertising the services that you offer and advertising your brand. See, everybody knows the Gatewood does business development services. We do websites, we do marketing, we do web, we do SEO, we do strategies, we do social media. But what about the folks that don't know about me, the company, how good we are? What if they don't know about the brand? So I have to be advertising the brand too. And we advertise the brand by doing things like social media, by doing things like sending out newsletters, by doing things like having a podcast. So you have to be advertising the services, but you also have to spend some money on advertising your brand to elevate your company. so that people feel safe doing business with you. Now, here's another secret sauce, another advertising secret. Different types of services require different types of ads. If you're selling a service like mine that requires a lot of explaining, you have to run different types of advertising than somebody who's selling a t-shirt or a car. Everybody knows what a car does. I don't have to convince you. I don't have to say, hey, look, I got this product here that has 4 tires on it, got this round thing up here in the middle of the dashboard that makes it go from left to right. You don't need to do that. I know how a car works. But what I don't know is how a marketing strategy works. I don't know how a financial plan works. I might not know how to wield the process of probate. I have to run a different type of ad than somebody else who's selling something that's already completely understood. And many people haven't gotten that. People that have these complicated services, they're running these 30-second, 15-second spots, and it's not working for them. And I see some people spending too much time and energy on these products that people already understand how they work. You need to flood the market and just let them know how to get it, that you have it, how much you're going to pay for it, and how to get to it. So every ad depends on the service you have. Different types of advertising is required. Now, I say this with tongue in cheek, but that's really not any wasted advertising. You run an ad, you didn't get all the sales you wanted, but don't beat yourself up too badly about it. You want to talk to somebody like me before you do it. But advertising it's not really wasted. Even if you didn't get a client at that moment, you probably did some branding. You probably reached some people that could possibly work for you, some contractors, some partners, joint venturers. You can use that content for other purposes. So don't feel too badly if you don't feel like you've gotten your money's worth right away. Because sometimes when we say that thing about the ads didn't work, you may not have given yourself enough options on what constitutes work. So you might look at KPIs, learn what KPIs mean, key performance indicators. You may have gotten more visits to your website. You may have gotten more engagement. You may have gotten more people to sign up on your YouTube channel. So don't beat up on yourself if you didn't get the sale. And sometimes that sale is delayed. A client sitting in front of me, matter of fact, 2 days ago, telling people we did a direct mail campaign when we first became engaged with my company. And he said somebody called him. He said, I didn't even know I still sold that product because people were still calling him 2 years later. So don't beat yourself up too badly if you haven't gotten the result right away. Now, here's another little secret that you just may not ever think about because some of us haven't been in the game long enough. The cost of advertising tends to drop the longer you're at it. Sometimes it's because of relationships. Sometimes it's the economy of scale. Sometimes it's just getting smarter at it, studying the analytics. So if you're feeling advertising pains initially, you've got to go through that process. But I'm telling you, it gets easier and the pain abates. Your pocket doesn't sting as much the longer you do it. Now, I get a lot of people say that, well, I don't do advertising because I'm doing word of mouth. I get all of my customers through word of mouth. Well, you get all of your customers through word of mouth. Okay, so you got 10 customers, but that's not all the possible customers. Just because you got your 1 customer through word of mouth or your 10 customers through word of mouth, that doesn't mean that's not the end of the story. Here's one of those other secrets of advertising. If you're getting all of your customers or most of your customers through word of mouth, you will get even more word of mouth customers when you advertise. Gel on that for a minute. So you're actually feeding the golden egg, the chicken that lays the golden eggs by advertising. And here's the exponential magic of what I just said. If you're getting most of your customers through word of mouth, when you advertise, you're going to get more word of mouth customers, and you can use your advertising to let people know that most of your customers come from word of mouth. Man, I'm telling you, I'm letting you in on some secrets today. I'm using them. and they're working, and I'm using them for my clients. I'm just giving you some of the best kept secrets right now. So let me close this thing out here. Whether you're just starting a business, whether you're struggling, or whether you're trying to expand, you will sleep better at night if you laying there in the bed, if you have a business, knowing that you have some advertising out there generating leads, prospects, and customers for your business. I'm telling you this from somebody who has been doing this for 30 years. When I'm not advertising, what am I waiting? What do I think is going to happen? You think people are going to just come to you through osmosis? Or that one or two people that's sending you referrals are going to keep you afloat? What if they decide to start referring somebody else? Or they start selling what you're selling? You're out of business. You will sleep better at night knowing that you have something out there generating leads, prospects, and customers for your business. You don't always know what's going to happen when you wake up that morning. But when I come into my office, without failure, somebody is calling me, somebody is emailing me, somebody is texting me because they have seen some of my advertising. So when I go to bed at night, I'm sleeping like a baby. I don't know what's going to happen tomorrow, but I know something's good because I'm advertising my business.